I am, or Matt is in the kitchen, you can see everything because there's no obstruction. So from any angle of the kitchen, we can cook with our eyes.
Some of the most dramatic failures in restaurant history weren't just about bad food or poor management. They were wrecked by personal chaos, bitter betrayals, and stubborn pride. What happens when not even a world-class chef can fix a business spiraling out of control? These stories don't just expose ruined kitchens. They reveal the human dramas and toxic dynamics behind the scenes. From owners refusing to take responsibility to family secrets tearing everything apart, these restaurants became cautionary tales that no makeover, however spectacular, could save. Amy's Baking Company, egos. In many of these kitchens, the biggest obstacle wasn't the food or even the staff. It was the owner's own egos. Pride blinded them to clear problems and made them fiercely resistant to change. This kind of stubbornness can poison a restaurant long before any dish is served. When the people at the top refuse to acknowledge mistakes, it becomes nearly impossible to turn things around. Take the case of Amy's Baking Company, where Amy's temper wasn't just a momentary flare-up, but a constant presence. Right from the start, her confrontational attitude clashed with anyone offering criticism. Instead of accepting constructive feedback, she pointed fingers and dismissed the staff's concerns. Her husband Sammy added fuel to the fire, denying basic truths like the use of store-bought ingredients and even getting into a fight with a customer. It wasn't just minor friction, it was a full-blown breakdown of any functional relationship between owner, staff, and customers. Ramsay himself reached a point he never reached before, walking out mid-rescue because the owners refused to take any accountability. This kind of ego-driven denial turned what could have been a fixable situation into an unstoppable crisis. The impact on the restaurant's reputation was swift and brutal. Instead of reflecting, Amy and Sammy exploded on social media, threatening customers and anyone who criticized them. This response only made matters worse, turning the business into a viral spectacle. No chef's expertise or new recipes could patch a gaping hole caused by pride and insecurity. This pattern of ego-fueling failure repeats itself in many doomed restaurants. Owners have to be willing to change, to listen, and to admit fault. Without that crucial step, no amount of culinary excellence or operational overhaul will succeed. It's a reminder that running a restaurant isn't just about food. It's heavily dependent on leadership that is open, humble, and accountable. Moreover, when ego dominates, the fallout extends beyond the restaurant's internal struggles and affects the broader community. For instance, customers who initially might have given the restaurant a chance are soon turned off by the toxic behavior of the owners. Word spreads quickly, and social media amplifies any negative encounter. In the case of Amy's Baking Company, their online tirades not only alienated loyal patrons, but also became a spectacle that overshadowed the restaurant's original mission. Instead of building goodwill and recovering, the restaurant became infamous for its owners' volatile behavior, making it impossible for them to bounce back. This inability to self-reflect and humble oneself can stifle innovation and progress. With egos firmly entrenched, the owners of struggling restaurants often fail to realize that it's not about their vision, but about creating an environment where staff, customers, and the business itself can thrive. Without this realization, even the best-intended changes, from new menus to better training, won't stick. Ego becomes the ultimate barrier, ensuring that the restaurant's efforts to adapt are futile. In the end, it's not the kitchen that needs fixing, but the attitude and mindset of those at the helm. Still, ego is only part of the puzzle. Behind some of the most tragic shutdowns lie even deeper problems involving fractured families and financial betrayals. These next stories reveal exactly how damaging those issues can be. Burger Kitchen. Family feuds. Some of the most heartbreaking failures aren't about bad recipes, but broken family ties. In the case of Burger Kitchen, the conflict was not just personal, but financial, and it steadily tore the business apart. Alan Saffron, an Australian immigrant who fancied himself a meat sculptor, ran the restaurant with a confidence that masked a much darker reality. Alan committed theft of a large portion of his son Daniel's inheritance, which he used to pay for business needs without obtaining any authority from his son. He created an unhealthy work relationship with his son, which forced his son to work for him. The betrayal resulted in a total loss of trust upon which all relationships depended. Daniel worked for a father who had robbed him of his future, which created both resentment and emotional wounds that no menu change could heal. Alan believed in his false reality of power, which he used to show off his restaurant to famous people who supported him without proof. He disregarded essential business knowledge while he held on to his false sense of importance. The family became more dysfunctional when Alan began to believe that online negative reviews formed a secret plot against him. His wife, Jen, did not stop the fighting, which she made worse by supporting it. Daniel attempted to restore both the restaurant and their damaged relationships, but his efforts faced destruction because of years spent on deceitful control. The kitchen and menu improvements Gordon Ramsay made to the restaurant could not bring about reconciliation because of the emotional and financial betrayal that occurred. The restaurant Burger Kitchen stopped operations in 2012, which happened 2 years after Ramsay conducted his restaurant transformation. The personal consequences continued to unfold. The broken relationship between Daniel and Alan led to a fraud lawsuit after the business shut down, which ended with Alan's death in 2020. The story demonstrates how family problems and dishonesty bring about business failures that extend beyond kitchen operations. Family feuds become more damaging when financial betrayal occurs because this form of conflict builds up multiple layers of hatred and distrust, which people cannot easily resolve. The family remained split because Burger Kitchen failed to heal the emotional damage that Alan brought to Daniel through his betrayal of Daniel's inheritance. The hatred between them continued to grow even after their company experienced various operational enhancements, which resulted in both personal and professional conflicts between them. The weight of betrayal that Daniel experienced during his attempts to rebuild his business proved that no business strategy could fix the family's deep-rooted problems. Successful business operations create an outward appearance of success, which hides the internal family conflicts that drive their business operations. The Burger Kitchen story shows that personal challenges will always affect restaurant operations through their impact on decision-making processes and customer service delivery. External assistance failed to resolve the situation because Daniel's emotional distress combined with Alan's refusal to accept the truth. The restaurant failed because emotional manipulation had been practiced for many years, and trust between people had been shattered, and a family experienced a deep betrayal. While family battles destroy from within, conflict between business partners builds a different kind of toxic storm. When owners cannot work together, the fallout often drives the staff and the restaurant into chaos. Black Pearl. Toxic partnership. At the Black Pearl, the downfall was less about one person and more about 3 owners whose constant fighting destroyed everything. David, Brian, and Greg each brought their own ego to the table, but none could collaborate. Arguments erupted over decisions big and small, creating confusion and tension that left employees caught in the crossfire. Gordon Ramsay quickly labeled the owners sleepy, dopey, and grumpy, highlighting their lack of leadership and accountability. Despite his efforts to restructure operations and revamp the menu, the owners resisted change at every turn. Their inability to act as a unified team meant that nothing truly improved. The staff experienced suffering because of this chaotic situation. The organization lost its positive atmosphere while creating a workplace environment that made employees feel discouraged. When leadership bickers nonstop, even skilled chefs and servers struggle to perform their work. The restaurant turned into a dreadful experience because of the food quality and the owner's inability to lead their business. The most damaging evidence occurred after the show completed its broadcast. The Black Pearl closed its doors for good 2 days after the broadcast, while the owners blamed Gordon for their business failure. The defendants started an attack of insults because they refused to accept blame for the drop in their revenue. The case became frustrating for viewers because the defendants continued to deny their responsibility for the failure. The blame game showed that when leadership fails to function properly, the entire business operation will collapse. A restaurant will lose all its chances to survive when it operates without responsible leaders who work together as a team. Black Pearl represents the complete opposite of teams that work together to face their obstacles. The reasons these restaurants failed demonstrate a pattern that connects all their reasons for failure, from family conflicts to power struggles and denial of reality. The kitchen can undergo a complete transformation, yet the organization will face challenges when dealing with broken relationships and leadership divides. The owners who ignored expert advice to run their business operations displayed self-destructive behavior, which led to their business demise. The first reason toxic partnerships develop between people who work together is that their two opposite personalities create a conflict, which their different goals prevent them from resolving. The owners of Black Pearl failed to establish a definite restaurant path, which ultimately resulted in their business failure. Leadership requires decision-making abilities, but leaders must establish unified strategic plans and generate shared commitment toward their success. Even the most effective renovations and business strategies will fail when an organization suffers from operational disturbances that affect its entire structure. The restaurant staff could not understand their duties because the restaurant lacked a unified vision, which created more chaos in the establishment. Toxic partnerships create immediate problems that impact staff and operations, but these partnerships also block organizations from achieving their growth and innovation goals. When ownership is divided, there is no room for creative collaboration or the ability to pivot when necessary. Restaurants lose market responsiveness, customer satisfaction, and new trend adoption because of this operational limitation. The restaurant remains stuck in its present state because the owners refuse to make progress, which results in their egos blocking all essential development. Poor leadership and unresolved conflicts between people who work together turn what should have been a successful business venture into a business failure. Even amid the chaos, the next examples prove how critical it is for owners to embrace change and leadership to succeed. Chappie. Hygiene. Sometimes, no matter the passion or potential, a restaurant's fate is sealed by poor hygiene and neglect of basic standards. When cleanliness is sacrificed, it not only threatens customers' health, but also destroys trust and the very foundation of the business. Gordon Ramsay encountered some of the most shocking examples where dirty kitchens and hazardous conditions made recovery practically impossible. Chappie's in New Orleans stands out as one of the most haunting cases. The walk-in fridge contained moldy shrimp and raw beef, which Gordon discovered after he entered the building. The storage area contained items that had expired 2 years before, which produced an overpowering odor that caused permanent bodily damage from the abandoned items. The sanitary deficiencies of the establishment created multiple customer safety hazards that extended beyond the detection of spoiled food. Chappie, the owner, maintained his obstinate nature, which he used to reject the acknowledgement of the severe problems facing his business. He persisted in believing his vision, despite mounting proof that proved him wrong. The kitchen and entire business operation suffered from his decision to avoid dealing with reality. The restaurant faced multiple food safety violations, which made all menu changes ineffective. The other locations of the business experienced identical terrifying situations. Capri, run by twins Jim and Jeff, revealed layers of grime that had built up during several years that included grease-coated prep areas and walk-in fridges filled with decomposing chicken and moldy vegetables, and a general condition of dirtiness that astounded the show's experienced staff. This type of environment not only breaks health regulations, but also drives away potential customers who might want to try the restaurant. The staff and customers experience decreasing patience because disgust has become the main element. People refuse to work or eat at these places, which leads to a complete workplace breakdown. Ramsay used his methods to implement deep cleanse and pest control measures and make fundamental system changes. The restoration process proved challenging because the structural destruction had reached excessive levels. Business owners who fail to maintain hygienic conditions demonstrate their complete disregard for both their customers and employees. The specific attitude leads to two outcomes, which result in declining sales and health violations that cause business shutdowns and monetary penalties. The health department and legal system both present obstacles that make recovery almost impossible to achieve. A restaurant needs proper kitchen conditions because its success depends on both its attractive menu and its modernized appearance. A restaurant needs hygienic conditions because they serve as its essential requirement for operational success. The situation reached a point where all culinary expertise could not solve the problem because it appeared as gross negligence. The cleaning project required extreme cleaning, but it remained uncertain whether owners would keep their cleaning standards or revert to previous practices. The majority of people opted for the second option, which resulted in their downfall, while they disappointed everyone who expected them to change. The stories demonstrate that discipline in operational activities holds equal importance to kitchen talent. This disregard for crucial operational basics twisted the knife further when some owners took their defiance to extremes by outright ignoring all expert advice. Fiesta Sunrise, stubborn pride. Perhaps the most heartbreaking road to ruin is being offered a lifeline and turning away. Several owners refused to listen to Gordon Ramsay's expert suggestions, relying instead on misplaced pride and entrenched stubbornness. Chappie was one such example, but others like Fiesta Sunrise took defiance to even darker places. Fiesta Sunrise's problems extended far beyond neglected recipes or dirty kitchens. Behind the scenes, the ownership was tangled in financial manipulation and dangerous negligence. Victims were left in debt, and the kitchen hid risks that imperiled customers' health. Yet, even after Gordon brought in a renowned chef to overhaul the menu, the true foundations were rotten and unable to sustain any recovery. Ignoring advice wasn't just a mindset. It became a pattern that actively destroyed chances to survive. Chappie dismissed Ramsay's repeated warnings about expired foods, confusing menus, and pricing chaos, insisting his vision was superior despite mounting evidence. Every refusal to adapt was a nail in the coffin. This stubbornness fueled a toxic environment where trust and respect never took root. Workers and management became frustrated with a leadership unable or unwilling to change. The very traits that might have saved the restaurant, humility, flexibility, openness, were replaced by arrogance and denial. No expert can force success without the owner's buy-in. Ramsay's frustration was palpable when his advice was deflected or ignored, sometimes leading him to walk away from the rescue effort altogether. This breakdown in communication made clear that some failures aren't about recipes or decor, but about character and attitude. In these cases, a restaurant's downfall leaves a trail of lost opportunities. A well-designed menu and operational fixes mean nothing if the owners reject them outright. Pride prevents them from making the simplest adjustments that could turn things around. Sadly, this path never ends well. Fiesta Sunrise was seized by tax authorities and shut down before its episode aired. Chappie's restaurant was padlocked after non-payment of taxes, and its owners blamed Ramsay publicly rather than facing their own failings. This blame deflection often accompanies refusal to change, deepening the spiral downward. The stories demonstrate a harsh truth, because expert advice requires people to receive it before it can become useful. The best chef in the world needs customers who will listen to him before he can save his restaurant. The emotional impact on all parties involved stands as another major reason for this decline. The owners who reject guidance and fail to recognize their errors end up losing contact with their employees and their customers. When leaders disregard expert recommendations, the trust in them diminishes, which causes their team members to lose their ability to work together. Employees who feel unheard may start to disengage, leading to poor morale and even high turnover. The business experiences a complete breakdown because the disconnection creates widespread effects, which lead to lower customer service standards and which result in lower food quality. The owner's inability to adapt results in a situation where their financial problems and their relationship problems become more visible. The owner who pursues work through pride ends up with personal problems that stay unresolved, which creates additional obstacles that block recovery. The restaurant failure shows unresolved problems that extend beyond business boundaries, so the recovery process becomes more difficult. The person who displays strong determination to achieve goals will eventually fail, because personal growth and humility represent essential components for achieving long-term success. The refusal to learn or adapt marks the last chapter in many doomed ventures. Yet, this is not where the story ends. Some restaurants managed fleeting success before deeper problems ensured an eventual collapse. The weight of hidden lies and financial manipulation. Beneath the surface of many struggling restaurants lies a web of deception and financial mismanagement that steadily drains the life from the business. At Fiesta Sunrise, these hidden troubles were especially devastating. While the restaurant appeared to be in dire need of a makeover and operational fixes, Gordon Ramsay uncovered deeper issues: ownership disputes, financial exploitation, and dangerous negligence that compromised everything. The man whom people believed to control the situation, according to Vic Flores, used his stepdaughter Patty to build up massive debts through her credit and financial capacity, which he used to support his failing business ventures. The exploitation of the innocent family member created financial problems, which started to destroy the restaurant. The excessive financial stress that the business experienced during its recovery process resulted in its imminent failure before the company could finish its recovery. Restaurants face imminent closure because hidden financial manipulation functions as their death knell. The organization reached its breaking point because unpaid bills and accumulating taxes created mounting legal complications. The foundation that supported the restaurant's transformation through the menu redesign and restaurant reopening with chef Julieta Ballesteros failed to create effective change. The IRS seized the property in 2008, padlocking the doors permanently, a stark reminder that financial integrity is as crucial as culinary skill. The organization used deceitful practices, which extended their reach beyond their financial operations. The establishment failed to maintain safe food storage facilities and proper kitchen handling procedures, which resulted in dangerous conditions that endangered customer safety. Gordon discovered that the kitchen contained dangerous conditions, which included unclean surfaces and dangerous storage practices that could lead to health violations. The exacting problems that developed from negligence and deceitful acts rendered all complete restarts of the system ineffective against the total harm that had been inflicted. The manipulation creates consequences that extend beyond the restaurant, and the resulting damages impact all who become victims of this situation. The employees and family members, together with suppliers, experience the most severe consequences when these failures occur because they bring financial liabilities and reputational harm. The victims of this incident included Patty, whose credit was exploited, and the wider community that suffered from the business's sudden closure. Dishonesty exists as a persistent pattern at Fiesta Sunrise, which includes their current operations. Most restaurants that face closure try to mask their operational difficulties so that they can navigate through the outbreaks, which they created themselves. When the truth becomes known, these strategies speed up their business decline because they eliminate all remaining customer goodwill and trust. The financial and ethical breakdown at Fiesta Sunrise serves as a grim lesson. Without transparency and honesty, no rescue effort can succeed. When business leaders choose to serve their personal interests through dishonesty instead of carrying out their responsibilities, then company failure becomes almost certain. The consequences arrive quickly, while they show no mercy. Gordon Ramsay's efforts to rescue these restaurants fail because hidden lies and broken promises create a toxic foundation that prevents success. The absence of truth and accountability from the menu items ensures the business will fail over an extended period. Even for restaurants that avoid blatant deception, fleeting improvements often mask deeper unresolved problems that resurface, leading to eventual failure, temporary successes, and eventual decline. Some restaurants managed to turn around briefly after Gordon Ramsay's intervention, giving hope to staff and owners alike. Capri, run by identical twins Jim and Jeff, was one such rare success story. After Ramsay's intense kitchen overhaul and cleaning, the restaurant stayed open for more than 8 years, an unusually long run for a kitchen nightmares makeover. This success, however, was fragile. Capri eventually closed in 2019 due to a mix of declining sales and health issues affecting the owner. The initial makeover bought time but did not solve all the underlying problems. External factors like changes in customer tastes and internal struggles can quietly erode gains until they become insurmountable. Temporary wins like these reveal how even the strongest interventions can only do so much. Recovery requires sustained effort and the willingness to adapt over time, not just a makeover or a menu change. When owners falter or external pressures mount, those early gains often vanish. The New Orleans vegan restaurant Kindred suffered from the same outcome as other establishments. The restaurant introduced new plant-based dishes with a new concept, yet they failed because of dirty conditions, spoiled food, and unsafe kitchen conditions, which resulted from a manager who treated everything with indifference. The extensive deep cleaning work, combined with the complete menu overhaul that Ramsay conducted, failed to restore the business because of ineffective management. The restaurant Kindred closed its doors 3 months after the filming ended, because the show had not yet been broadcast. The situation shows that temporary improvements based on good intentions and superficial modifications will only serve to obscure existing problems that require resolution. The progress made during the initial phase will vanish because the organization lacks both stable operations and authentic dedication to its mission. The restaurant Sushi Comping demonstrates how a new beginning can lead to disappointing results. Chef Akira Hate, who found success at his restaurant, relocated his business to Thousand Oaks with hopes of achieving fresh beginnings. Ramsay made menu changes while he retrained employees, but personal and financial issues and family relationship problems blocked any chance of business success. The restaurant closed its doors just 5 months after the crew finished filming because essential problems remained unsolved despite their professional skills and dedication. The public optimism during the makeover gave way to an empty dining room and ultimate closure, revealing how surface changes fall short. These cases show that restaurants need more than a single makeover to ensure their ongoing existence. The process needs continuous management together with sound fiscal management, hygienic practices, and staff members who can handle demanding situations. The organization becomes exposed to danger because of any individual component that suffered damage. Short-term success after Ramsay's help leads some restaurants to experience internal conflicts, which create obstacles to their development. Staff members at restaurants create operational inconsistencies when they fail to follow directives given by management. The entire team needs to confirm their commitment to the project, because any lack of support will lead to failure for the transformative project. The process begins when people lose their initial enthusiasm for the new beginning. The waiting period ends when hidden problems and unfeasible goals from previous times start to emerge, which results in all enhancements to the system being undone. Ramsay's guidance leads to restaurant transformation. However, the restaurant's success depends on both owners and staff members who work to sustain the initial changes. In the end, the costs of failure stretch far beyond closed doors, altering lives in deeply personal and lasting ways. The human cost beyond closure. Behind the closed doors of failed restaurants lie stories of deep personal loss and lasting consequences that extend far beyond business failure. Many of the owners featured on Gordon Ramsay's show faced not just professional defeat, but fractured relationships, legal battles, and emotional turmoil that lingered long after the kitchens shut down. These human costs are often the heaviest price paid in the wake of a business collapse. Amy and Sammy Bisgallo of Amy's Baking Company provide a stark example. After their bakery's closure in 2015 and Sammy's deportation due to his criminal history, the couple's marriage disintegrated, culminating in a divorce filed in 2022. Their public feud continued online, with hostile exchanges and personal attacks replacing any semblance of reconciliation. The fallout from their failure wasn't just financial. It severed family ties and destroyed their public images permanently. The Burger Kitchen tragedy continued to unfold after the restaurant closed down. Daniel filed a fraud lawsuit against his father, Alan, because he wanted both financial compensation and acknowledgement of the emotional suffering and betrayal he experienced. The 2020 death of Alan marked the end of a distressing period. Yet his passing created enduring injuries that neither financial compensation nor verbal apologies could effectively resolve. The family dispute continued to exist even after the business ceased operation. Some restaurant owners experienced complete financial destruction, which affected their personal lives and their business operations. The IRS seized Fiesta Sunrise because the business owners failed to pay their taxes, which created a public humiliation that extended beyond the business operations. The business owners and their families suffered emotional and financial exhaustion because their deceitful practices and debt obligations created a situation that resulted in community destruction and job loss for their employees. Restaurants that achieved temporary success after their intervention experienced personal challenges that they could not avoid. Capri owners successfully operated their business for many years, until declining sales and health problems forced them to stop their operations. The combination of these challenges creates financial difficulties that cause stress in marriages and family bonds, and personal health problems. Kitchen success does not guarantee home stability. The mental health impact from business closures extends beyond visible storefront shutdowns. The involved parties experience heavy pressure from three sources, which include stress, shame, and public examination. A restaurant that faces operational failure creates increased challenges for workers who need to recover from their difficulties because their recovery process requires more than standard solutions. Some people think that their unsuccessful restaurant experience represents their most important personal development moment, which changes how they see themselves and their future. Business owners who own restaurants decide to move their establishments to different locations while they pursue new career paths, or they experience a complete loss of purpose. The psychological and emotional impacts of business failure continue to affect survivors long after they have taken down their business signs and their ovens have ceased functioning. These stories show that restaurant failure often goes beyond bad food or poor management. It's about the people and relationships that crumble along the way. No makeover can fix fractured trust or hidden betrayals. If you found this insight compelling, don't forget to like and subscribe for more deep dives into the world behind the kitchen doors.